Hello everyone, Simon here. Welcome back to the Architecture of Dishonored 2 series. In this video, we are going to look at the Albarca Baths. So the main game is finished. We are moving on to the expansion, which is Death of the Outsider. And the Death of the Outsider expansion introduces a number of new areas, the first of which is this one. We are not at the Albarca Baths yet. We come in through the tram. And we arrive in a basically completely sealed off part of the city. This room is unremarkable. I guess it used to be a sort of a tram station, but it was never very pretty, right? It was always kind of industrial and basic. Let's get our way through here. The tram line used to go through there. Where are we? I think we are like on the west side of the canal? I'm not sure, it's hard to say. Can't see very far. Actually, I'm not sure. We could be. Wait, no. Okay, so the Shindere Peak is up there. Yeah, no, because we're looking at this way. We are either... We're close to the canal, I think. I think we are fairly close to the canal. Not sure on which side of the canal we are. We could be on the east side of the canal. Not too important. We don't really interact with other parts of the city at all. In this level, at least. So this part of the city looks completely abandoned. There's a lot of trash, and it's quite overgrown as well. We don't see any lights. At least not here. Back there we see lights. So beyond this wall, I mean there's lights here, but there's like a security spotlight. So this wall is closed, right? And then beyond the closed walls there are lights. Oh, there's lights back there. Maybe not everything around here is abandoned. No, I do think this particular segment of the city is abandoned. If you keep going this way, you'll see this is completely overgrown, right? Look at that. Look how that plant is growing up there. The streets are blocked off, but we can come down here. See how that's completely overgrown? This would be like several years, right? Of weeds. I don't know if they're pretty aggressive. And then this is all overgrown. I don't think this opens anymore without you chopping down those plants, right? So that doesn't seem like it's been open for a long time. And in here, this is blocked off. And not just like blocked off a little bit, but the wood here actually blocks the tracks. So there's no way any of these trams are coming through here anymore. Like this is completely covered up. Yeah, so this part of the city clearly is completely closed off. And I don't think anyone's supposed to come through here. Although having said that, there are signs, kill all the whales. There are signs that some people do live here. You see there are mattresses, and there are fires, and they're cooking stuff here. There's a book. So somebody's living down here, but I don't think they're supposed to. They're probably like homeless and just found a place to squat. More of these carts. Mining company. What does that say? Shindere Mining Company? And that's completely overgrown. Alright, so this track is disused. Completely disused. There's abandoned carts in here. And then somebody set up a home back here too. Alright, let's get up these stairs. And then we get back up to street level after going through what is supposed to be an abandoned part of the city. There is people here. Not sure how he comes through here. Like, is this blocked off? This is kind of blocked off, right? Right, that doesn't open anymore unless you move those concrete blocks. Not sure where he comes from. There are lights in this building here, which is curious. Most of those are closed. It's been bricked up even, so the windows are bricked up. It says for sale. I'm not sure anyone's gonna buy. The shops down here are closed off, so all of this is completely boarded up. Except for this. I'm just trying to like sort out there is power. The lights are on. And then here, this used to be an apartment. But it's been turned into some sort of office, I think. So there's like a prize. There's some sort of tournament going on, and then there's chairs, and this used to be the kitchen. Over here, there's a stove, there's a sink. So this used to be an apartment, it's been turned into some sort of office, it looks like. Toilet back here with a shower. In terms of ornamentation, it's fairly basic. It looks like a working class district, possibly. So it was never wealthy, but now it's just completely cut off from the city. That's the Albarca Baths. It is in a completely cut off part of the city. I think it's pretty much completely abandoned. That side of the street is also blocked off. Right. But if we go inside, we will see that the Albarca Baths is occupied by a fight club. We can't see it yet, but I'm just thinking, it's in a part of the city that's completely blocked off. Is it an illegal fight club? It might be an illegal fight club. And they've just, like, broke into a part of the city that's been sealed off and abandoned. And they set up an illegal fight club in here, is what it looks like. Alright, so, the baths. What can we see? Well, we can see, first of all, that it's actually quite grand, isn't it? The entryway here. A massive, like, double height entryway with plenty of columns and arches. Look at that, there's columns. Very big, very grand. So at some point in the city's history, this used to be an important building, right? It used to be well regarded. A lot of investment went into building this thing. And behind there, you'll see that the building kind of sits against the hillside. It might even go into the hillside. So regarding hillsides, you know, in the ground there's a water table. So underground, there's underground water, right? And it's called a water table. It's the level of the water where that's underground. And if you dig a well down to the water table, the water will start filling your well in. And then if you have like a cliff and the water table will, you know, intersect with the cliff, and the water will pour out of the cliff as a natural spring. So sometimes, like at the side of a hill, you have a spring where water just kind of seems to come out of nowhere onto the ground, and then it forms a stream, and eventually it becomes a river, right? And so the way that works is because the water table is inside the hill, and it kind of just intersects and the water starts pouring out. So when you have like a bath built against the side of a cliff like this, one possible reason you do that is because there's a natural spring here, and the spring water is nice, and so then you use the spring water for your baths, and so it's a natural mineral spring water baths. Right? It's one of these, you know, things that people consider a luxury. Natural spring water. So that's possible. We can't confirm that, of course, but that's how I would read it. Okay, let's go inside the baths here. Oh, there's a flag up there. I don't think the flag shows anything though. Alright, into this very grand entryway, into this very tall space, and then we see the Fight Club posters. Okay, what does that say? Champion Challenge! Test your mettle in a challenge brawl. Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I said that maybe it was an illegal fight club, but they do have enough money and organization to print these posters. Posters aren't cheap, by the way. I mean, I don't know if you've ever gotten posters printed before, but they do cost money. So maybe it's not entirely illegal. I mean, if they're posting posters everywhere, then the cops would find out. Maybe it's not illegal? Anyway, it is in an abandoned part of the town. So this would have been a ticket booth. It doesn't seem to be functioning now. I guess it would have been, like back when it was the baths, the front ticketing booth would be here. This door is open, but it's actually a restricted area, so let's not go in there first. Oh, there's a map, right? Let's look at the map. Okay, here's the map of the bath. The bath is not that big. Entrance is where we are now. We come in there. This is the restricted area. The door that I just closed is there. Given that's restricted, I guess you would go downstairs and arrive here. Number 4 is the locker room. Alright, so lockers are here, down the stairs locker here. 3 is the Albarca. The Albarca. So the main pool is there, and it's got its own name. And then I don't know what, that's a staircase going back up. So number 2 is private baths. So you go down here, if you don't want to go to the Albarca, you can go up the stairs into the private baths. And then all of this stuff back here is unlabeled. But I can tell you that this is like the machine rooms. So there's a lot of machines back here. And then there's this space which is unlabeled. We'll go to all of these and we'll see what they are soon enough. Alright, so that's the map. Not that big actually. Right. Oh, ornamentation? Very fancy. Look at the details on the columns. Look at the details on the columns. Yeah, no, this place used to be a very fancy establishment. And then look at the little kind of dome arch things. Partial domes as an arch for the doorway, and then the fancy sign. But it's not fancy anymore. It's just been turned into a fight club. So the lockers are back there. That's been blocked up for now. But we can come over here, and there's the fighting ring, right? This down here would have been the swimming pool, the Albarca. It's been mostly covered up, and then the fighting ring has been built on top. The surrounding area is mostly just unfurnished. I guess the audience would hang around here and watch the fight. There's several layers to this. How should I go about this? Alright, let's go through this one layer at a time. The original layer is the swimming pool, or the hot springs, or whatever it is. We have a sort of a fountain thing, I think. Yeah, so the water comes out there, I think. And it goes into a swimming pool down here. This would have been filled. It's a pretty deep pool, deep enough for you to drown in, if you're not careful. The pool does slope up on that side, so it kind of gets deeper and deeper until this end. A pretty deep pool. With, oh, look at the detailing on the tiles. Look at that. Very, very intricate. So, and then look at the tiles. The floor tiles, wall tiles, everything is very detailed. And quite ornamented. I mean, you know, back when this was clean, pretty nice. It's a pretty fancy place. Not sure what this is. What is this? Oh, would it be... Is this like a spa? Oh, I guess there are like spas. If you don't want to dive in the big pool, there are like smaller pools for you to soak yourself, I guess. So there's 1, 2, and 3 of those, right? Very interesting. So there's like 1 big pool, 3 smaller pools. Not sure what's going on here. Maybe you can... customers. Not sure if this is new or original. I think this is new, as in they put this in with the fighting ring. Because if you look at the floor tiles, it's continuous. So this gate is a later addition. But there is a doorway back here. Alright, so let's not worry about that right now. And then, can we figure out what's going on back here? There's little basin things. I don't think the basins really do anything though. I'm not sure what they're supposed to do. Okay, so that's the pool. So that's the original layer, right? That's when the baths were baths. Now, there are pipes. There aren't that many pipes, but there are a few pipes that we can see here. So at some point, they added the pipes to the original baths. And I say they're added because they're not inside the walls, and in fact they kind of just stick out the side of the wall like that. So they don't really fit in with the original architecture. So at some point they added pipes and other equipment in. The equipment, or like the Like, this stuff is not original, and in the other rooms you see like pumping equipment and water heating equipment. It's possible that originally the pools were not heated. It was just a natural spring. And then later on they added the heating, and that requires the pipework to be retrofitted into the pool. That's possible. Not 100% sure about that, but I mean, the fact that the pipes don't fit in, like they're not buried in the wall, that they're kind of just put alongside the wall, seems to imply that they are added at a later date. Alright, so that's the second layer, and then the third layer is the fight club, right? So there's the fighting ring. This is easy to understand. It's just a raised wooden stage with, you know, ropes around it. And then this thing, this appears to be a sort of a cell where somebody was enclosed or restrained in here. If you play the game, you will know that the person you're looking for is Dowd, and Dowd was restrained here. He was the main attraction of the fight club. If you look at the board, they call him the Black Magic Brute. 73 wins, 0 forfeits. So the guy won all of his fights. And the objective in the game is for you to rescue Dowd from there. But as soon as you open that, as soon as you let him go by pressing this lever, everybody in the building turns hostile and tries to kill you. Is that right? Oh no, he kills everybody else and you're fine. One or the other. Anyway, the objective is to rescue him, so there's a cell down there, which in terms of gameplay makes a lot of sense because, you know, it's in a central area and you have to find out how to free him. In terms of turning the baths into a fight club, it's a little odd because the only reason the fight club would need the cell is if they have Dowd. So that would mean that they had Dowd all along and they built the fight club around him. Because otherwise, why would there be a cell down there if there's no one to keep in the cell? If Dowd wasn't here in the first place, the more reasonable way to build the fight club would be just to have the cage, the fighting cage. Like, to have this cage be the fighting cage, and for the fighters to be down there fighting, and for people up here, the audience up here, to watch them fight. Right? It would make more sense for this to be the fight cage, and for that not to be a fighting ring. If you want to turn a bath into a fight club, that would make more sense to me. But anyway, that doesn't fit the gameplay, I guess. This can also work. It's just that this is kind of unsafe, right? If people are walking around up here, this is kind of flimsy. Look at that. It's just wire mesh. I mean, if you jump up and down, you might just break the thing and fall through. So this seems implausible, actually. Now that I think about it, doesn't matter too much, I guess. All right. So what else? Over here, they've set up a little sandbags area with a raised platform, right? And then here, I believe this is also new. This is where they gamble, right? So this is, I guess, where you put your money down. And they keep your money here, and then depending on who wins and who loses, you get your money, or you don't. And they've put some security around the money room, which is reasonable. And also back here, they've set up a makeshift bar. So this furniture is movable. They just kind of stacked a bunch of boxes and a bench up and some chairs. And they're selling Brave the Sensation distilled bull rat liquor. Right. Rat liquor, if you're into it. And then there's a bunch of stuff back here. Not sure what the stuff is, actually. Alright, so that's the fighting ring. Converting the swimming pool into a fighting ring. Fairly reasonable. There's also an upstairs balcony area. I don't know if that ever gets filled up. You can also, I guess, watch the fights from above. But we'll get up there soon enough. Back here, this was the lockers room. as labeled on the map. And there are lockers in here. So that's piled up, but that used to be the doorway. Here we have a showers area with heated showers, I believe. So those are hot water cylinders. And then there's a shower head there. So again, those are probably retrofitted into the baths. And in fact, all of that might be retrofitted. Like, this is not the original ceiling, I don't think. Right, so look at that ceiling versus what would be the original ceiling. Is it different? It looks a little different. Maybe not. Maybe not. Not sure. Difficult to tell. But again, we have these pipes, right? These pipes are outside the walls, and they go around like that. So there's a... The piping doesn't really fit into the building. They're just retrofitted outside the walls and floors. Does that mean the showers are also... Because would they have cold showers before they had heated showers? Maybe. The fans are definitely new, right? I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to read this. Like, either all the pipes were original, but somehow they put them outside the walls. That doesn't make sense. No, I think there was like original unheated baths, and then they added the heating equipment, and then it got abandoned and turned into a fight club. I think that's more likely. Anyway, on the other side, we go back up the stairs, and remember back here is the private baths. Private baths. Right, so we have this room. It's been turned into some sort of office. In the game, they kept dogs in here, so this gate is retrofitted. It's not original. Originally, this would be the private bath, I guess. It's kind of shallow though, right? If this was deeper, it would make more sense. And then there's a fountain out here, and we are back right up against the cliffs. Look, there's natural rock there. So if this was a natural spring coming out of the mountain, then this would make sense. Like, the spring would come out here and directly into the private baths first, right? And so if you're the VIP, if you're rich, you would come back to the private baths, and this would be the best water, right? Direct from the mountain spring, and you would bathe in it. And then after you bathe in it, the water would flow out to the other pool where other people can bathe in the thing that you've bathed in. Ew. Alright, so this is probably the original spring. That would make sense. Again, these pipes don't really fit in. They were retrofitted. Not sure what they do or where they go. They are leaking too. And then there's a bunch of hand basins, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure why there are hand basins here. Or like, how does fit into the bathhouse? From here you can look down at the main baths. Alright. Let me go back into the other areas first though. So authorized personnel only. This is the engineering stuff. We have... oh, dead people. We have more pipes. We have... is that like a water boiler? Possibly. And then over here we have... what is this? More water boilers? No, that says whale oil. I guess that's the whale oil supply. These are water boilers, right? Or the pumps. Over here we have electrical equipment. And then over here, this is definitely a water boiler. No, this says whale oil. I don't know. I mean, I guess the whale oil is used to heat the water. You can see steam coming off of this thing. So I mean, this is hot water, clearly. I just don't know what's going on. Are these pumps or are these heaters? And then here, these are boilers. Well, they're not really boilers because you can't... This is not for water, this is an incinerator. I'm not sure if I can understand all this machinery, but it looks like they heat the water and the pool is heated. Is what it looks like. Alright, back here we have a staircase, and this goes back to the main pool, and also this is the back of the gambling money area. Alright, let's go back up. The ornamentation in the back area is significantly less polished. As you can see, pretty much raw bricks. Back here. And raw bricks back here too. Okay, so this is definitely not the public area. Alright, back on the balcony. And then on this side of the balcony, more machines. More machines. And then over here, near the front of the building, we have a bar. Now this bar looks original. Because, like, look at this bar. This looks like it was built. Like, I don't see any sign of this being renovated. Or, you know, built after the original. Except maybe some of these pipes. Authorized personnel only, but it's been blocked by this distillery thing. So the bar was original, but it's right at the end of the VIP area. Because the public pool is down there, right? If you're just an ordinary poor person, you'd be down there. If you're a rich person, you can go up the stairs and go to the private baths. And then from the private baths, you can come around the balcony to this bar. So this is not open to the public, this bar? This is like a VIP bar? Possibly? But if this is a VIP bar, that would imply that there are a lot of VIPs. Or at least enough VIPs for like a bar this size to make sense. Alternatively, it's possible that this was not always restricted. No, but this door, yeah, that's definitely a side door. Okay, no, that doesn't make sense either. Okay. I think that means this is the private VIP bar. Maybe like invitation only. Maybe you have to join a club. You have to be a club member to come back up here. Possible. Alright, VIP bar. And that's it. That's the whole baths. It's downstairs, changing room, get bathed, or alternatively, if you're rich, you come up here, get a drink, get bathed up there, and then there's some equipment back there. Oh wait, there's one more thing. You see this? Building maintenance, but this has been blocked off. There's one more little room back here. Where are we? This is not good. So I guess building maintenance, the other door we come through here, right? And then we have more machinery, which we're not sure what they do. It's not entirely clear. Alright, so that's that. And some of these pipes are broken too. That's concerning. So that's it, that's the Albarca Baths. Very small, very simple. In the game, this is the first level of the expansion, and the expansion you play a different character with different powers. And so this level serves as a tutorial level for the new character and your new powers. And that's partly why it's so small. So about the baths, and the fact that the Albarca Baths are abandoned, and it's been turned into a fight club. So baths have a long history. Public bathing has a long history, going back to the Roman Empire and possibly earlier. So back in the old days, right, people didn't have running water inside their homes, because running water is actually quite complicated. Like having pipes bring water into your home is not a trivial thing. I mean, it's something that we take for granted these days in the modern world, in modern countries, but in developed countries. But like back in the old days, that's quite difficult. And so, uh, if you have natural hot springs or you have rivers, the government would sometimes build public like public bathhouses, especially if there's a hot spring. Oh, definitely if there's a hot spring. Um, because hygiene is quite good. Like, hygiene is good for people's health. It reduces disease outbreaks, right? And so if you can provide hygiene in your city, that's good for your city and it's good for your people. And because people can't afford to have running water inside their homes, you would have public baths, and people would go bathe in the public baths instead of bathing at home. I mean, bathing at home is super difficult. If you imagine you don't have running water, imagine you have to like bring water in from the well or from the river. Right, that's already a chore. And then you have to heat the water. If you want a hot bath, I mean, you can take a cold bath, I guess. I mean, good luck with that. So if you want to take hot baths, you have to like heat the water, and then you get bathed. And so, I mean, even up until relatively recently, in a lot of parts of the world, people would bathe like maybe once a week, or even once a month. Like in winter especially, if it gets really cold, you bathe once a month. Because just getting water and just heating it is such a chore that you don't want to do it every day. You can't afford to do it every day. It'll just take up too much of your time. And so like hygiene is a bit of a luxury under those conditions. Whereas if you have a public bathhouse, then people can get clean and they're less prone to getting diseases. And so you have better health in your city. So yeah, as I said, the Roman Empire was a big thing. I mean, the Romans were really good with infrastructure, right? They built aqueducts to bring water into their cities. And so they had the engineering ability to like divert the aqueduct water into a public bath, and then they could and then they would like have heated baths that were open to the public. Public baths were also a big thing in Japan. I'm sure it's true in other parts of the world. From the Roman Empire, Turkish baths are historically quite famous too. But the Turks took over from the Eastern Roman Empire, right? The Roman Empire spread across most of Europe. And in the east, it became the Byzantine Empire, and the Byzantine Empire were eventually conquered by the Turks. So the Ottoman Turks, basically took over the territory of the Byzantines, and the Byzantines were the Romans, right? So the same Roman bathing tradition then passed on to the Turks, right? I think bathing was a thing in the Islamic world as well. Oh crap, what happened? Why did my game do that? Alright, let's get back in. Yeah, so public baths were an important public good up until plumbing became available inside people's homes, right? And with the mass production of metal pipes, it became possible to have running water go into people's homes. And once that happened, people had private baths. And in fact, in Karnaca, if you remember all the houses we've been to, there have been either showers or baths inside everybody's homes. There's no bath here because they're right next to a bath. But in almost every apartment that we go to, you will see that there's a bath. So I guess once you have private baths in every home, then public baths become a lot less important, right? And that might be the reason why the Albarca Baths were eventually abandoned, and it's been turned into a fight club. What does that mean? That might imply that the Albarca Baths were built before private baths, or like private plumbing and running water was available inside the home, right? So this might have been like a relatively old building. And then over time, once the Empire of the Isles hit the Industrial Revolution, they started making pipes, and then they get whale oil, and they had whale oil to heat the water. At first they put heated baths into the old Albarca Baths to make that more attractive, but then over time more and more people got private baths inside their homes, and then less and less people came to the public baths, and eventually the whole place shut down and was abandoned. That would be a plausible story, right? I mean, we don't have any evidence for that story. No direct evidence, but that would make sense. That would explain why the baths are abandoned. Because everybody has baths in their homes. And it would also explain why there's a big public bath building, even though everybody has baths in their homes, right? So this would make sense if it's an older building from a time before people had baths in their homes. Okay. I think that's all I want to say about Albarca Baths. Unfortunately, there's not too much for us to see. It's a small building, a tutorial level. Okay, so I'm going to end this here. In the next video, we are going to the Upper Syria district. If you remember, in the main game, there was a Syria Gardens district. And then in the next video, we're going to look at the Upper Syria Gardens district, which is a completely different place. There's Syria and Upper Syria, and I guess they're close to each other, but they're two completely different places. Not connected, except by name. Alright, I'm gonna see you there.